arrive and everything happens on time. So if there's anything not happening on time, come to me. Please don't shout to Sis Pinky. Sis Pinky is the one who's making sure everything is happening well. But before I go on too long, this is not my stage to give my professional bio. It's just my stage to allow the person who's really going to welcome you to come on stage. So I want to speak about, or I want to introduce the person who's responsible for this stage, who's responsible for this event. And of course, it's not just him, but he's got a lot of people who've assisted him and helped him throughout the years. And he's going to be speaking instead of all of these people, in their stead, not regardless of them, just in their stead as well. He is the chairperson of the ICT Summit. He's an innovator, he's a leader, he's a collaborator, he's a mentor. He's someone who really looks at all the levels of development. He's been looking at us young people. Hey, I mustn't say us young people because it separates others and they start worrying who's not the us. He's been inspiring us young people, the people that he's collaborated with for years, and even those people who are senior to him. And it's really great to have a room filled with people with such great profiles and portfolios to come together and have a conversation and have ways of developing not only our province, but the country through this kind of mind that has seen the importance of getting people to network, bridging the gaps between private, public sectors and civil society. So can we please put our hands together as we welcome to the stage Mr. Motsamfuleni to do the welcome address.
Thank you. Good morning. It's good to be back here. It's lovely to see all of you. It's a reunion. It's exciting. New faces, lots of new faces, which is super exciting. And Stoff, you've got a competition in Jackson. Tight one. Let's give Jackson a huge round of applause. Ngaba, I see you, Zocho. I see you, my friend. Premier, we're here at your beautiful province of legends. They say the morning flights into East London were chaotic this morning. A lot of people flew in this morning. Some flew last night. We had an exciting cocktail event last night. Prof came through this morning. So probably the guys at the says, what's really happening? So it's exciting. See, all our friends are stakeholders, Mr. Case and everybody else. So we are great to be here. It's the 17th one. Wow. A round of applause. So let me do the formalities so that we can get the discussions and the conversations going. Premier, it's a pleasure to welcome you here together with the delegation that comes from provincial government, including the heads of IT in all your departments that are here, led by Mr. Nation. And it's really a pleasure to have you here. The chairperson of ECDC and CSIR, Mr. Chachana, one of the lead anchor and mentors of the summit. Ngalash, it's good to have you here. Our special guests, Dr. Pali and Prof. Pakeng. We've really been looking forward to secure your diaries, and we're glad we made it. I think we must pop champagne tomorrow when we close the summit. And Prof. Pakeng, again, congrats on your award that you got in Dubai. I think we need to do a round of applause for that. Yeah. And it's a tech award. It's a tech award, so people must know that it's not just an academic-related award, it's a tech award. So well done. And so we really want to welcome all our speakers that come from the length and breadth of the ICT industry that have honored us here. And particularly we want to welcome two important government national departments that are here. DCDT, led by DDG Mlindi, is seated somewhere there, representing the minister. And we welcome the entire DCDT team is seated there. That is here. Also the delegation that comes from DPSA. This year we've done something a bit unique. We have invited DPSA because of cloud policy, as you would call that. They're very important stakeholder on government cloud. And Minister Kivit has been kind to us to put together a team to stand on her behalf. And we really welcome the DPSA team and are grateful to the Minister for that. This will not be possible, as you know. That is an event that's led by private sector, funding and support. And we would want to really do the honors. I saw all the logos up here. And I said to the Premier something important this year. Premier, cash is scarce. You know, post-COVID, it's become very tough for companies. We were at AfricaCom, some of us last week. We're seeing the movement that there's a big shift in supporting initiatives like this. So it's great to see that the likes of Microsoft, led by Mr. Siyabonga Makipi, over the years, have consistently been to the summit to support it. But we also want to thank the Eastern Cape government-owned entities that have come in this year to particularly lend a hand, and we sincerely are grateful to that. We want to welcome a Chinese company, BRICS. We want to realize BRICS. So we've got a Chinese company, H3C, that's here with some colleagues that are looking after Africa, Middle East, and Asia that are with us, and we really appreciate them. This year we've introduced a beverage partner, which is Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola Africa is headquartered in the province. Many people may not know that. So we've roped Coca-Cola Africa office. So you see a lot of the water, you see the water is their water. A lot of the beverages is led by them. And it's part of us all working together. You know, the big buzzword now is ESG and making sure that everybody plays a part with social capital. So we welcome them. This is important because it's a knowledge-based interaction. We want to recognize the University of Fort Hare, Nelson Mandela University, Tangible Africa, Cortex Hub, iHub, and the TVES that have been organized by the Department of Higher Education. And again, Mr. Mandela, once more, thanks to you. And together with the CETA that we specially made an invitation to have here, which is MESITA, our eyes are on EVs. It's a reality. So we're now bringing in all the stakeholders that are in the EV skills development, and we are grateful to the MESITA team as assisted by the department. Lastly, on acknowledgements, we're grateful to our media partner, Mpuma Kapa TV, KNR, Keith Ngesi and the team, truly grateful to you, and Daily Dispatch that has walked the path with us to make sure that both online and on the print copy, we have all the deliberations broadcasted widely as much as possible. The formal part. They gave me a speech for a change. The Eastern Cape is more than a location, it is a hub of untapped potential. By hosting the annual ICT Summit here, we spotlight the province's strides in tech landscape, showcasing it as a digital frontier, contributing significantly to national conversation on technology and inclusive development. I mentioned to the Premier my joy 2 weeks back when I noticed that Premier had a delegation that was in Germany. They even went and engaged with an ICT incubator in Germany. The same week, Viana Daman and the team, they were in London, also there selling the province. For them, it was great. It was after the Amapokopoko, great victory. They were all wearing the POC rugby jersey. It was great to see that. On the other side of the continent, ECDC and MEC Mvoko were busy selling the province in Egypt, same week. In Egypt. In the same week, Mhlaba was in Belgium, selling the province. In the same week, we were here with SIFA, signing funding partnerships for emerging farmers. At some stage, this is going to come back, Premier. And I think we must congratulate you for those efforts. So we're grateful that in a small way as this conference, we can contribute to those efforts of making sure that we stimulate economic recovery in the province. And as you always say on the issue of the equitable share, we keep people as much as possible in the province by making sure that career opportunities, mostly in tech, are available in the province. And throughout the summit, you'll be hearing some of those. Also, before I sit down, I want to acknowledge the Deputy Speaker, Mr. Honorable Koboshiane, Thank you so much. We in the summit call him the person that helped us when we realized that the local government sector, when he was deployed in Kokta, and we went to him and says, MEC, provincial government is organized in the form of PGTO. The municipalities, in terms of IT managers, IT resources, do not have a structure. We then eventually launched what was now called the Local Government ICT Forum. It was during your time, and we've never forgotten what your government and the party that deployed you helped us to achieve. So you will hear later the discussions from Salga. It's all those small beginnings that have come over a period of 17 years. This year, we let the people do the talking and share for them the impact, the issues that we wanted to look at. But I have to end on this note. We, the people of the Eastern Cape, are the Detroit of the automotive sector. We've got to lead the electronic vehicle conversation. We have to. It may not make sense now. We may not understand what skills are needed. We may not see the business opportunities that are needed. The infrastructure conversations that we're having, and the cloud, and the artificial intelligence conversation are laying a foundation. So when we have conversations with our children, maybe we must have in their rooms photos of these cars so that we feed them with this information. Leaders in the EV in South Africa should come here. If you were to look the number of cars manufactured here, you will be so shocked. It would be unfortunate, Premier, that we, through this summit and many other initiatives that are led by AITC, we are absent in the leadership of the discussion on electronic vehicles. All the best for the summit. Thank you so much for giving us your time, and all the best for deliberations. You're welcome.
Thank you, Tatu Mfuleni. Can we give him another round of applause? That was just an amazing welcome. It just made me think about something when he mentioned the Detroit of South Africa. I realized Ford is someone's surname. It's not an innovative name. His name was Henry Ford. And then you could create a brand called Ford. Why does Chabalala not sound like a good brand for a vehicle? I'm just wondering. Why does Mfuleni not sound like a good name for a vehicle? So let's start thinking about that. Let's get our languages becoming brands as well. So in a few years, if you're driving a Chabalala around, don't be surprised. But the theme today is cloud usage and digital infrastructure delivery 2.0. The reason I love this theme is because we are not speaking about something that happened 5-10 years ago. The ICT Summit is in the forefront of innovation. We're speaking about things that have not happened yet. And that's what's really exciting to me about this conference and about this summit. So please look forward to having conversations that are innovative. But not to take too much time, I'm going to ask, when the speakers come on stage, there's been pre-conversations about time limitations. So I'm not enforcing time limitations on anyone. This is my politically correct way of saying there has been pre-conversations of time limitations. So please, there'll be people taking flights. There'll be people who have to be here and be there. So let's respect the people that are going to come after us. With that being said, I'm not going to take too long as well with myself. So our next speaker I'd like to introduce is Mr. Nation Matikiza. He is the Provincial Chief Information Officer of the EC Office of the Premier, and we'd like him to speak about the cloud computing and infrastructure delivery, especially from a provincial perspective. So if Mr. Nation Matikiza could please come up. Can we put our hands together for the honorable gentleman?
The Honorable Premier, my boss, the Deputy Speaker, and the Mayor, and all honorable members, protocol observed. Thank you very much. As it has been mentioned, I'm being timed already. I must just make sure that my 20 minutes finishes after I've finished. I'm talking about I'm talking about cloud computing and infrastructure delivery from a provincial government perspective. I should also mention that the government CIO from DPSA is around, who is the architect of the cloud directive that we have in the country. So I'll briefly talk about the cloud directive and what the cloud offers to us and its impact on service delivery, its implications, and then conclude. So basically, DPSA issued the cloud directive in 2022, last year. The idea here was, the reason why they issued that directive was to guide us on the adoption and use of cloud computing. And also the fact that with changes in technology, government is not keeping up with advancement or investments in this. So cloud was seen as one of the ways in which government could catch up, at the same time reducing the cost involved in trying to catch up with investments, and the whole area of economic efficiencies in accessing demand hardware and software over the internet. So basically, the directive is empowering us to use cloud in order to ensure that services are provided more efficiently, and that as government we don't lag behind. In terms of cloud as a service that we get, we have infrastructure as a service, which means issues of the servers and all other infrastructure that we have in ICT are offered as a service in the cloud. Databases as a service, which means that the more expensive big databases that we have to buy, we can use them without having to pay the high cost that we are supposed to pay. Software as a service, the use of applications like office applications, and platform as a service in developing systems that we need to develop as a province. So last year, when we had the summit, we did talk, or we did update the summit, that we are in the process of consolidating our Microsoft environment into one agreement so that we can exploit the benefits that we have. Part of that consolidation was also to stabilize the email and communication environment platforms in the province. So previously, departments had on-prem infrastructure. And you know, with the load shedding, there was always server is down, server is down. You send an email today, it won't be received until tomorrow, until the other day. But we can report that since then, all departments are now on cloud email, which means that the issues of server down are out. The issues of load shedding, they don't affect us, because as long as you have a device that can access your email, you should be able to get it. While I was working in one department, during those times when it was server down, officials would say, when they don't want to work, they would tell their boss, "Boss, I can't do this because the server is down," even when the server is not down. So now that we are in the cloud environment, there is no server down. There is no reason an official can say, "I cannot do this because the server is down." We have our e-recruit system. It's on a database as infrastructure. We have our HMS2 system for the Department of Health is also on the cloud. You remember the issues of medical legal. The system is being deployed in most of the hospitals, making sure that the cases are reducing, and the cloud is empowering us to do that. In terms of education, we have already now ECD online for education, the e-libraries, to help our learners access learning materials from these e-libraries. So with the deployment of broadband in the province and the cloud, we are making headway into providing these services to our people. Now, one of the things that cloud is going to offer us is rapid application development and agile software development. I think those who are in government for some time, they know this thing about IFMS since 2006. But as government, we can't continue in that way, having an application or a system to be developed over 10 years and is still not yet there. But cloud offers us this opportunity that we can develop applications faster because there are already made apps on the cloud which we can buy and use. So for example, our e-recruit system, there's an app that we use to send emails to applicants. That app is provided by a third-party service provider. But it costs about $10. But you know government processes that $10 to spend it. We have to write to Treasury, and the Treasury must do this. So I'm saying there is need for flexibility in the way we do things so that if I need to develop an application and I need to buy it for $10, I must not be writing and spending a lot of time to do that at the expense of delivering that application faster. So those are some of the things. We have, so cloud will also help us with user-centered device and agile development. We need to be responding to our users or to our citizens much faster. So to do that, cloud is there to help us. One of the things that cloud is also going to help us is, previously, we would have big data centers in one department like that. The whole process of procuring a data center would take a year or so. But with cloud, procurement of server services is very fast and can be done very quickly. And you don't have to buy the whole server. You only buy the processing capability that you need. In that way, you are saving on a lot of power that you are supposed to do. So basically what I'm saying is that cloud is helping us to reduce infrastructure costs as a government. The money that we save from infrastructure we can use for other service delivery initiatives. It helps us to get capacity and scalability so that we only use what we need. We also need to, cloud is also helping us to support new businesses because as I'm saying, if we are to develop software, we can outsource parts of the system so that others can develop for us and we get the overall system. The case of business continuity, as I've said, services are now more stable and more reliable. So government is able to work in a more productive manner without having to wait for certain processes. Increased collaboration, because these services are on the cloud, it means you can work with, collaborate with other people. So for example, we can have a developer in the province working with a developer in Gauteng on the same system, and they collaborate and we get the results much faster. The implications for the province is that we need a cloud migration strategy and roadmap that encompasses not only government departments, but even the entities around the province, so that we can move together. And then other cloud issues. So at the moment, when we talk about cloud, it's mostly these big companies, Microsoft, Amazon Web Services, Oracle. We must find a way by which our own companies can grow and compete with these companies. I know that, for example, with Microsoft, they say that training will be provided by local service providers. But I think we must go beyond just providing things like training. We must, at a certain point, be able to compete with Microsoft or these companies by developing these local SMMEs. And I think CETA is an important partner in this one to strengthen the cloud presence in the country for government and also whoever is in that area. I think the other issues are like locking us into long contracts because they are big, they provide everything. We may find us locked there and now it might be difficult to get out. So those are some of the things that we must be thinking about. And then much as we are talking about cloud usage, but there are things like cloud cost optimization. Gartner says that even with cloud presence, 34% of people that are using cloud, they are not utilizing their services optimally. In other words, they have subscribed to more services than they are using. So it means even in our government departments, we need people who understand how to measure what we are using and to ensure that we are not oversubscribing, how to use analytical tools that can give you results about your utilization and how you can improve on those. So from a government side or provincial side, we need to build those skills so that people are there to tell us, to advise us what we can use more. We are saying through our work that we are doing with ECDC. Remember last year we came here, presented the digital transformation strategy, and then it was referred to ECDC because we needed to include these things of the auto industry, agriculture, ocean economy, and other factors that the province has got a competitive advantage. So through that work, some of the things that we are trying to do in the cloud is to promotional tourism apps and route planners, so that if somebody is trying to book their time or their trip to the Eastern Cape, on the system, as we are promoting, there is also a route that shows them where they will go. So if they are moving from here to Hluleka, for example, they know that the garages are at this point. If I want to buy Chisanyama, I'll stop at this point, and all those things. You see, we use those to promote or to attract people to come to the province. The issues of municipal services, we must emphasize on those ones so that even in municipalities, we can emphasize on things that can provide for us greater advantage. And then we market the province in that way. Again, with the work that we are doing with ECDC, there is the issues of agriculture. In other words, using cloud apps so that farmers can be empowered to know how to take care of their animals, how to protect their animals. Those are the things that we are working on with ECDC via cloud systems. Then in terms of citizen-centered digital services, we are saying that on our mobile phones, apps, now we are engaging with our banks, we are engaging with whatever service providers. But I'm sure there are no apps where you're engaging with the provincial government. But we are saying we are staying within the provincial government. We must have a way in which we engage with our citizens. So we are looking at citizen engagement platforms so that citizens can engage us and tell us what they think. At the moment, if there are developments in the municipality or in the province, people normally just see things happening. But they are never given an opportunity to say, man, we are seeing there is this need. Can you contribute? How do you think we can do it? That's the direction where cloud is going to help us to engage with our citizens so that they are part of the process. Because some of the problems we have is because people just see things happening. They don't understand why they are happening, what is involved. But if they are part of the process, if they are engaged, then they will be in a better position to support those processes. One other thing is that with cloud, there is a plethora of online trainings that our youth can subscribe to. And most of these are free. And for example, at the moment, cybersecurity is a hot cake. In other words, there are a lot of jobs that need people with skills in cybersecurity, not only in South Africa, but even overseas. Which means that if people are exposed to these trainings, they will be able to open up their careers and help themselves. So one of the things that cloud brings is this plethora of training facilities. And as a government, we must promote this training, expose our youth to this training so that if they have a device, they can use them to offer these trainings. I know, like, we are partnering with NEMISA. They are offering these trainings and also promoting this. But on our provincial websites, these are some of the things that will expose our youth so that they know they can go to this website and do this and skill themselves. So that the job of skilling is not only for those that sit in a class, but even those that have a device and can access these facilities. So, in conclusion, I'm saying that cloud presents a lot of opportunities for us to improve service delivery and also to efficiently use ICT resources. As you know that there are issues of declining fiscus. So even the budget that we have for ICT is reducing. We must find ways of maintaining better services using the reduced fiscus. Then we anticipate more adoption of cloud and migration to the cloud of many of the services that we provide. And then cloud will help us with timeless and agile delivery of systems and applications, especially systems that help us to reach to the citizens. Because previously government has been more about its internal operations. But we must now get out and reach to the citizens and make sure that they are part of the system. And as I've said, we need to encourage our youth to make use of the free online courses that are there so that they can skill themselves, so that together we can grow in the use of cloud services for the betterment of the province. Thank you very much, Premier.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nation, Matikiza, and I think your 20 minutes was in 15 minutes, so we really appreciate that one. You did say that you were going to live to that. Some really interesting points from the conversation is about realizing we don't have to worry about servers down anymore. But if our people are innovative, we're going to find another solution for the servers. I'm just playing there. But it's amazing that you spoke in dollars. You spoke that it's going to be $10. You spoke that the guys in the Eastern Cape are going to be working in international markets. So I love seeing that we're going to be competing with Microsoft and Oracle. So it's the internet. I believe Mr. Luvo Gray is somewhere here. He's going to be one of those guys to make sure that it happens. Everyone, I would just like to ask at this point, if you are looking for the program, you can find it on www.ictsummit.co.za. If you want to see how the day is going, what conversations are going to be had, please go onto the website and please just, you can find the program there. And on your social medias, please, hashtag ICT Summit, 17th Annual ICT Summit. Just get it all over on your social medias. Your stories, just get the stories happening. Let's get all over social media, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn for the professionals, Twitter for the Twitters. Let's just get that happening. So moving along in our program, we are now going to invite Miss Veronica Monyobo from the Kucha Development Corporation. She is the Acting Chief Knowledge Officer. and she's going to speak a little bit about our digital infrastructure investments. So can we please put our hands together for Ms. Veronica?
A very good morning to our Premier, the MECs, Deputy Speaker, Executive Directors, distinguished guests, all protocol observed. We are very privileged, Premier, to be speaking here today on infrastructure investment. Finally, Guha made it to the table. As introduced, I'm the Acting Chief and Knowledge Digital Officer for Guha Investment. I'm reiterating the title because I want to put emphasis on an element of the title, which is research and knowledge management. So Guha emphasizes that as an additional responsibility to the role of a CIO. When you look at research, it is the first step in bridging the gap between your vision and your reality. And as a CIO, we are constantly expected to provide bigger, better, and faster. So that research element becomes very critical for us. Speaking of infrastructure investment, the infrastructure we look at has three components to it, just to put context to the discussions of today. The bottom layer of infrastructure looks at your bricks and mortar, your hardware, your software, your laptops, your broadband infrastructure, all the cables, the nitty-gritties, the nuts and bolts. The second layer of it looks at your platforms, right? Your cloud, your artificial intelligence, all of those elements of your fourth industrial revolution. And the top layer looks at all of those applications that you then use to access your second layer, your oracles, your SAP, and so forth. And so in 2008, Guha SEZ realized a vision to be part of a world-class fraternity by building 2 data centers. And we use those 2 data centers to provide utility services in the form of cloud computing to 58 tenants in the SEZ. I was not part of Guha at that time. I came later in. But the point I want to bring forth is this. At that point in time, in 2008, Guha had the foresight to take advantage of an investment opportunity at that point in time. And secondly, to take advantage of an opportunity that positions Guha as a government sphere competitively using technology. Safe to say, we are now realizing our return on investment here by 2022, and we can safely say that we are making around a profit of about 4% of an increase on a year-on basis since around 4 years ago. The 58 clients that we have, they use our data center services, and beyond that, there's other telecommunication services that they consume as well. We consume and distribute as a country various digital infrastructure, and I must acknowledge that sometimes we respond at a very slow pace into the infrastructure that is being introduced. As Guha, we look at the type of investment that we are required to use to put us at the forefront of digital transformation in future. And if it is high risk, we respond the same way as the rest of the country. We step back. As an implementing agent that is very heavy on brick and mortar infrastructure development, the areas of infrastructure development must therefore then spend beyond your tangible buildings and structure. So Guha is known for building all of those schools, hospitals, and so forth. So to provide as an infrastructure investment vehicle, we need to look beyond those elements of brick and mortar. It will also assist us to respond in terms of the services that we provide as a utilities to the tenants that we have. Those 4 IR revolutionary services, your AI, your Internet of Things, your robotics. So as we continuously source investment opportunities in technology, we assess what we have and how best to position what we have to not only benefit us as an investment or to not only benefit our investors, but also to contribute to the socio-economic growth of the country and Africa at large. We do have a footprint in Africa. Looking at the global context, the global surge in technology adoption during the COVID-19 pandemic has led to a significant increase in data center demand. This growth has particularly concentrated in major cities, with Asia Pacific leading the way. Data center operators are increasingly prioritizing now renewable energy sources, and so it must be, because as we all know, countries all over the world are having energy issues. It's not only South Africa who are having issues with Eskom. And in that sphere, AWS is committing to powering its operations with 100% renewable energy by 2025. This highlights a broader industry shift towards sustainable practices. So the global decision to invest in digital infrastructure prior to 2014, it unknowingly prepared the world to respond to connectivity and communication needs during COVID-19. Since then, there's been a steady increase in IT infrastructure spending on a year-on-year basis. To this extent, public cloud market is projected to reach about $595 in 2023, and that's the global perspective. In the case of Kucha ICZ and other SCZs, yeah. Okay, this is the one. Oh, sorry. Thank you for that. Mm-hmm. Okay. I want this one. All right. So in the case of Kucha SCZ, for technology investments, if you're looking at investments as an alternative, looking at what we have land, we have water, we have access to ports, because we've already developed data centers and we already have a landing station. We are cognizant of the fact that the data centers' return will plateau at some point, if they already haven't at this stage, because there's a huge growth for implementation of hyperscale data centers. So when the view of hyperscale data centers come into the picture, we are now positioning ourselves to be better able to respond to the requirement to provide bigger, better, and faster at the point in time, competitively, safely, the same way as international countries are doing. This view of an investment of bigger infrastructure and better infrastructure, it not only positions the Eastern Cape as a primary service provider or positions it on par with its competitors, it provides the Eastern Cape a foothold into the discussions around data sovereignty and cloud computing. As I impressed earlier, significant change can only be visible when we overthrow the status quo. So, salient in the ICT infrastructure development discussions is the need for innovation. And the area of innovation in ICT infrastructure, it does include your subsea landing cables, and whilst these provide considerable changes to digital transformation landscape, there's a need to consider our current situation in South Africa and in the Eastern Cape in particular. and also a need then to consider how we can best position and quickly respond to the connectivity needs of our people. Guha conducted a market study in 2022 to look at the state of telecoms in the Wild Coast SEZ. The summary of this outcome or of the study is that it's painting a very bleak picture. The people in the Wild Coast SEZ still have a high demand and a need for connectivity. Currently, they are connecting in the main. About 30% of businesses that are connected in the Wild Coast SEZ are connected via wireless. So the basic cause of this need, as you can see then, is your infrastructure. We have been discussing over years the challenges that we have in terms of setting up infrastructure in underprivileged areas and areas with challenging terrains. So what we are saying then is that the discussions must change and start looking at innovative approaches in infrastructure. What are those other infrastructure types that we can look at that will provide connectivities in these areas that have challenges that we've been discussing? If our data centers, our 5Gs, our broadband are not serving our people, then we need to innovate. So in the Wild Coast, Premier, we look at the type of connectivity services that are available, right? So there's your companies, and primarily in the Wild Coast, the companies that are providing internet services as ISPs are the big companies, your MTN and your Telkom. And those two companies are the only two actually that are mainly providing connectivity services in the Wild Coast SEZ. But even then, for the population size, when you look at businesses, it's only 30% of businesses that can afford the connections, and about only 45% of households that can afford the services that are provided by MTN and Telecom. So hence we are talking about innovation for other alternatives into the infrastructure solutions that can be provided. So globally, there's a tracking index that is used by the Science and Technology Institute to measure innovation. And then there are countries that are affiliated with the Science and Technology Institute that are viewed as cluster members in the Science and Technology Institute. The index of innovation is measured, or it is assessed against the density of investors in science and technology research and development in a cluster, as well as scientific authors that exist within a cluster. So this Science and Technology Institute, the global one, it places your Tokyo, Yokohama first in terms of a big investor. Shenzhen, Hong Kong second, and then in the fifth place we've got San Francisco, the US. I'm mentioning this because these are the big providers of our hyperscale data centers and the cloud services that we consume locally. So equivalently in South Africa, science and technology innovation is measured by the Department of Science and Technology. They use an index that is sector focused, and based on the last study that they did in 2022, the monetary investment in South Africa in science and technology, it has increased for the past 10 years from 9 billion to 19 billion. Their focus is in the education sector, and the concentration is within Gauteng, the Western Cape, and KwaZulu-Natal. the Eastern Cape is not on the list. So the beneficiation of investment, it must be reconsidered to then cater for a broader audience in multiple sectors. Implementers are not too old, and as Confucius says, he says that by 3 methods we can measure wisdom. First, by reflection, which is the noblest method. Second, by imitation, which is the easiest. And third, by experience, which is the betterest. And the third one is the method that is always followed. It's not easy to cater for a broader audience in what we don't understand. But it will assist us in bridging the gap between your vision and reality, and it will bring immense technology advancements. Investing in training and providing expertise to the older and wiser technical specialists. They also need funding to learn about the newer technologies and platforms so that they can transfer to the younger generations, including the experience that they've gained. So technology is a fast evolving science that we must safeguard and which we must ensure does not supersede our reaction as implementers and solutionists. Our reality dictates that we heavily invest in research and development, and the emphasis is on heavily. Looking at a country like the UK, their government invested £400 million to develop quantum computing expertise. Their investment was placed in institutions of higher education. Our current investment in innovation is placed in the lower education sector. What they did and why they did this investment in institutes of higher education learning, it's because their strategy as a country for 2025, it seeks to commercialize quantum computing. So when you compare yourself as a country in terms of the movement, it means that by 2025, we're beyond your AI communication, your AI discussions, your Internet of Things discussions. So what infrastructure then do we need to research at this point in time that will put us on par with those other countries? Maybe we need to reform then how we distribute our investments. The stipends that, the investment that we put in learnerships, the interns, it should maybe shift to not primarily focus on stipends and tools of trades for the learners. What about the infrastructure that they need to learn and understand, and that they need to assist us with to push us beyond the borders of digital transformation? So investing in that type of infrastructure will change our narrative. And we've got the SKA, the square meter array, as a good example of such an investment. It also helps to be accredited in some certification if you want to position yourself better as an investment opportunity. So at Guha, we take it seriously. And in ICT, it is critical then to look at accreditations such as your ISO 27001 accreditation. It gives your investors some sense of comfort around the investment that they are willing to make. It also gives them the assurance that you seem to know what you're doing. Yeah. So I'm going to disclose, I wasn't going to, but we got a good rating or audit outcome for our ISO certification 27001 this year. So we retained our certification, and the evaluators, the moderators, they advised us that as Kuha, we are actually leading in this certification, and we should take a leap and try to assist other government departments or even similar our peers in getting them to be certified or getting the same. Yeah. So, and I'm mentioning this ISO 1 specifically because it holistically deals with your information security aspect, which is normally an afterthought, when you look at infrastructure development. So we often chasing our tails in making sure that whatever we put in place and whatever we consume is secure. I mean, how many times how long did it take people to trust internet banking? Is this thing secure? Okay. So to summarize the key points of my delivery, there are investment opportunities in the Eastern Cape for the development of data centers of all scales, development of broadband, development of platforms, development of coding practices. The scope is endless. And at some point, while I was listening to the CIO of the province, I thought he was going to say that we should develop Chabalala Cloud, but that's also a thing. So similarly, there are impediments that make technology investments unattractive, such as your cost to technology, the frequency of changes in technology, and the abrupt introduction of the unknown. And I'm glad there's a discussion around your ChatGPT. So reforms in investment distributions, they are necessary to change the trajectory of technology advancements. Technology development, it's not limited to the ICT sector, and we need to realize that now. A multidisciplinary approach for research and development will advance South Africa in the move for digitization in leaps and bounds. So it will resolve information ownership challenges, the need for government information centralization, as well as your data sovereignty to some extent. And with that, I thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Veronica. I really appreciate that. I love the sound of South African surnames being big brands. It sounds amazing. Oh, sorry about this. Hello, ma. No, it's the really colorful and fancy ones. No, Prof. No, serious, she's about to come on stage right now and she's about to talk to us. Okay, no, I'll congratulate her for her award. Don't worry about that. No, never mind, ma'am. Sorry about that, sorry. Man. Mothers, mothers, you just can't help it. But she just said she wants the entire audience to know who's coming up right now. It is not just because on my program it says 10th Vice Chancellor of the UCT, and you'd think that is wow enough, but she was like, make sure that they know it is the Africa Woman in Tech Lifetime Achievement Award recipient for 2023 that is coming up, who will talk on thought leadership. So can we put our hands together for Professor Mabokedi Phakeng?
Thank you so much to the program director. When he was talking, as he was introducing the conference and calling on the conference organizer, he described himself as young. And I looked at him and I thought, I have boys. Is he young? I wasn't sure, because, I've got 4 boys and different sizes and so on. But now what he's just pulled off, that's just evidence that he's young, right? Only a young person can do that. And I'm not opposed to that. being young, being who you are. But thank you so much for inviting me. It's so wonderful to be here in the Eastern Cape, Molweni. Hey, send a teta premier. Oh, ndisebenza eCape Town. Ndiyathetha wethu. Ndiyathetha. I was somewhere, I even forget when I'm speaking in Gauteng, and then I throw Xhosa, whatever. When the event ended, they came to me and said, "Are you Xhosa?" I'm like, "No, but my Xhosa is pretty good." But when I'm here, I know that it's not. It's only good in Mabopani, Garankuwa, you know, because they have no idea what Xhosa is. Zulu sounds like Xhosa anyway. So even if I mix, they are fine. But it's really a pleasure to be here. Let me say, all protocol observed. It's an honor to speak in your presence, Premier, and all the dignitaries who are representing MECs, people who work in the province in many different spaces. And it's also wonderful to see the sponsors. Much of the work that happens, not just at conferences, but that actually drive digital transformation, needs to be supported by the private sector. And the private sector is not just supporting it for doing us a favor or, you know, paying back. It's also so that your business flourishes in this province. Because if we get in with the digital program, then you can interact with us better, we can get access to your products better, and it can go on and on in that way. So thank you so much for supporting this conference, and this is visionary to have the 17th chapter. Of course, sir, Mr. Young, next time do a QR code, don't give us the website, please. That's so 1974. It's 2023. Just say to us, here's the QR code on screen, and then we go. Yes, you can do it on screen. You don't even have to, you can put it everywhere, but you can put it on screen, and then we go. After all, this is an ICT Conference Summit. Okay, so just, I thought I should throw that in. And Sis Veronica, thank you for the thoughtful conversation. You know, I want to make a comment, because I'm so inspired by what you shared, what Kucha is doing. Being from outside the Eastern Cape, you know, I have followed the story of Kucha from the time it started, and you know, and it's so wonderful to hear from you as CIO what's going on, what your dream is, what you think the province should invest in, and so on. I don't want to get into the debate about whether that's a good idea or not, but definitely on point, right? And of course the issue is, how do we make sure that that happens? But I think the other thing that we have to invest in is making sure that our young people are curious enough. I mean, I think we lack a community of curious people. The levels of curiosity, in my view, are not as high as they should be. I mean, the fact that they're talking about ChatGPT now is so old, ChatGPT. ChatGPT is so old. It doesn't know anything. When it came, thought, wow, it knows that. But let me tell you, ChatGPT that knows very little at this point in time. And there are there's other versions of generative AI that do better, but soon we'll have machines that are smarter than human beings. And I wrote that on Twitter once, and a young person said, there's never, because it's human beings who program them. I was like, oh my God, they don't even get it. I mean, ChatGPT, as weak as it is better than you already, because you can ask it sociology, mathematics, whatever it will still do. You can do that, you know, but they're still holding the old script, right? And they're bold to come with it on Twitter and explain. But here's the thing, some of the things that get offered are free. I am on the board of the Geneva Science and Diplomacy Anticipator. It's a Geneva body in Switzerland, and what we do in GESDA is in recognition of the fact that technology and science are growing in such a fast pace, unprecedented. That's how fast they're growing. Our concern, of course, but it's the concern of the Swiss, and they invited two of us who are from outside Switzerland to be on the board. The concern is the world ready? Do we have policies, government structures, and so on, governance structures to deal with the growing pace of technology? you're talking about quantum, but there's other technologies, whether they come from the health professions, that science that comes through for treatment of cancer. Is it possible that people who don't have cancer can use that to augment who they are? Is it possible that if I told you that it may be possible that we may be able to hack your brain, because there are people doing research on brain organoids. Right, now, you are sitting here, and I was doing talks online, free of charge, through Jessa, saying, let's talk about this, about AI, and I do different sessions online, just educating people about these things. So it's moving so fast, and in Jessa we are saying, so how do you regulate? Because technology is an enabler, but it can also create more inequity. As much as it can help us deal with the problem of inequality, it can increase it if we don't have infrastructure, if we don't have curiosity now. Because if you have infrastructure, and young people are waiting and saying, if you don't give me a stipend, I'm not doing it, then hello. So there's got to be a change in mindset in terms of how do you draw on this. And I say to young people, whatever you say about AI, quantum, human augmentation, science and so on, it's here. No amount of toy is going to make it go away. So what you need to think about, I said to unions at UCT last year, sitting with them, I said, you can go ahead of the time and start thinking about who will own labor once we have intelligent machines that can work faster, that can do more than us. Perhaps you need to go ahead and start positioning yourself as labor to be the ones who then control that space. If you just sit and just toy and say, we don't want AI, you're going to toy, but it's going to come. Ultimately, you're going to get tired because it's about power at the end, right? But you can think carefully, think about how do you position yourself better. But the same with young people. We can sit and say, we are disadvantaged, whatever. But there's some things that we can get, even with the little that we have. But that's not what you asked me to talk about. I think Veronica got me started. I feel like going to lunch with her, but nevertheless, we'll have time to hook up. And I know that the program of today is jam-packed, and so I will get to the point. I was asked to talk about thoughtful leadership. And so I want to start by saying, anyone who's following me would know that I'm not so much a conformist. And my view about leadership is that it has to be authentic. In the world of today, where there's so much that's not the same, we are constantly in a state of change. And whilst we are busy wanting infrastructure, we are already thinking, do we need to develop laws international? South Africa is not talking about it because they're still there, right? America is not talking. It's Switzerland that's talking about it. Why? Because they see themselves as the headquarters of multilateralism. They are the ones who come with that. The ILO is there, all of that, right? So they are positioning themselves. They are thinking already 25 years from now. We are saying, let's catch up with America. Right now, we've got to know that this is the world that we are working in. Change is rapid. And so in this changing world, how do you lead? And my view is that today's context needs you to lead. It doesn't need, and for me that's thoughtful. It doesn't need a fake you, a you that's trying to assimilate into being something else, because we need that diversity. There's a good reason we are here in this world in our diversity, because our being is important to make the world successful. My view is that the world is what it is today because it depended over many years on only one kind of leadership, that is masculine and Western. And frankly speaking, even though our fellow human beings might not agree, it is not working. So when we talk about gender equality, it's not to do us a favor. It's really to draw on the resources of this world, to make it work. When we talk about racial, inclusivity in general, whether it's race or gender, whatever, it's because what we've had over the years doesn't work. As you can see, they took us away from the close relationship as Africans that we had with the environment. And they said, if you have too many trees, whatever, it's not cool, you are not civilized, pave, cut the trees, pave. Now they are saying, no, remove the paving, plant the trees. We grew up eating locusts and whatever, and they said, oh, that's poverty, that's uncivilized, wah. Now they are saying, oh no, protein is in short supply. You must eat locusts, right? Western and masculine, right? Because there were no strong Africans who said, we can't do that. We are one with the environment. You kill the environment, you kill us. You cut the trees, you're cutting us. There was no African who was confident enough and dared them and led from who they are. Do you get what I'm saying? Leading from who you are as an African. And not saying, well, I'm here, they say boardroom, so I must do like them. No. I understand that you've been doing this establishment. I understand you've been doing this for many years. But actually, we, as Africans, are one with the environment. You want to kill us, you remove the trees. But we didn't. Why? Because the drive to assimilate into the masculine and Western way of leading was high. And I'm saying, if we're going to do the same, the willingness to assimilate because you don't want to be pointed at as odd, we are going to create even more problems. That's why I'm not willing to do it. I'm not willing to do it. And I think we've got to get more people. We've got to get more people who are not willing to conform just for acceptance, who can lead, who, by the way, who become excellent in what they do. Not willing to conform doesn't mean that you come mediocre and you tell us, we have no confidence in you. Your CV must be proper and don't steal money. Yes, don't. But be authentic. You know, so that when they say, abakfuni awkward, they shouldn't know what do they blame you for. But the way I talk on a corner, the way she talks, it's not right. You know, there's a way to be a VC. There's no way to be a VC. Just like the trees were cut, we need VCs who can say, how do you make all the students feel that this is their university, despite the fact that they're black, they come from Limpopo, and they're in Cape Town for the first time? Because if you don't, they will force you to. And then they do it for 3 years, and then it's not so nice, because it takes us, all of us back. Right, now, you can only do that if you lead from who you are, and that's thoughtful, because you're saying, I know what it means to come from Limpopo. I've got, to come from the rural areas. What we have is valuable. Our lived experience, that some call a disadvantage, is powerful, because it can help us contribute something different to the world, in an ethical manner, in a way that's powerful, that can change the environment. Of course, those who break ground in that kind of authentic leadership will get hurt. But we needed that kind of brave leadership, thoughtful leadership in the past, when civilization, people who were designing civilization, did it in the Western way and got us where we are now. And now we have to plant trees that we cut. And now we have to teach our children to eat locusts. Can't they were there? So for me, it is about being authentic. It is about leading from who you are. It's about understanding that you shouldn't necessarily just assimilate. We don't have to fit into traditional molds. So I always refuse to adhere to societal norms that dictate how a woman leader or a woman CEO should behave. I've walked into boardrooms with my all-stars. I've refused to fly business class. I refuse to have an inauguration. What a bloody waste of money. Why have an inauguration? When students can't graduate, they owe 30,000 rands, they can't graduate. And they spend 2 million rand on Vice Chancellor to tell the Vice Chancellor how amazing they are. I thought, no, I know that. Why tell me? But that's, yeah, yes. I mean, you don't know what they do at inaugurations. The speeches are about the Vice Chancellor or whatever, that's what they do. They talk about, they call the union, the students, whatever, all the constituencies. Now, but when you lead from who you are, you know that we don't do this. In my culture, certainly, I don't know whether in the Eastern Cape, you can eat, you can have a party when children are hungry. They don't have shoes to go to school, or they haven't paid school fees. Where I come from, we don't do that in our culture. And as a woman, as a mother in the house, we don't do that. But it's leading from where you are. You understand what it means. How do you get labor to get on board when you're leading? In a space like this, you want to do digital transformation, and labor says, because first of all, they don't understand your vision. You haven't shared it with them. Because sometimes leadership, that's not thoughtful, thinks that they lead only the professionals. And so you only talk with the professionals. The vision of the institution or the organization is discussed with the professionals. And when I became VC at UCT, people didn't know. First of all, I went to the building that the students were occupying, deciding how they're going to disrupt the following day. I went there and said, I want to hear what they're talking about. And people said they're going to abduct me. It wasn't even in my head. How can children abduct me? Their mother. I said, it will never happen. But it even shows you the mindset. Because I'm an African woman, it doesn't even enter into my thinking that I'll go into a room where young people are sitting there strategizing about tomorrow, and then they will abduct me. I'm not thinking about that. But my white colleagues are like, what if they abduct you? No, they won't. And they didn't, right? And then you want to call labor into the room. Let's talk about the vision. I said, the vision, our vision is based on 3 pillars: excellence, transformation, and sustainability. And my view is that actually, that's what our country should, in fact, the world should work. If we don't drive both excellence and transformation interdependently, there will never be sustainability. And I'm not just talking environmental, just sustainability of the institutional ecosystem or the ecosystem of the country or whatever. The whole thing. And I'm talking, when I say transformation, I'm not just talking bringing people of a different color. I'm talking transformation with integrity. I am big on CV. I am big on excellence, guys. And that's why, and that's important. Excellence, and that's very important. You've got to make that. But of course, you've got to understand also what excellence does and how it comes about. It doesn't happen on its own. You enable it. And that is why today, when you call up excellence, it comes in a particular race and a particular gender. It's because apartheid enabled it that way. How do you change that? You don't put people there in the queue, even who are not excellent. No. You enable it. You say to them, here, I give you the resources to run. I'm giving you this ring fence. It's a ring fence for you, so that you can sprint. And some of you will reach those white men who are in front. Which means you're going to have to work harder. And that's what my generation had to do. Because started school under a tree, mother of a domestic worker, a dad who was a victim of the 80s beer halls in the townships. So mahasman and liver cirrhosis, you know how it goes. Now, you've got a lot to catch up on. You don't say. I understand that it means you run faster. It will be the same with the provinces that are lagging behind. What does it take to run faster? What do you enable it? You do ring fence and then people run. Then you expect that at some stage, excellence will show up in its diversity. It should show up in its diversity. Of course, there are people who squander opportunities. And then when it shows up with its diversity, in this contested world of us that's racialized, Of course, the battle is high. There'll be a lot of effort to show that this excellence that you enabled, we're going to deal with it. You're going to lose it, right? It knows the job. But we're going to tell you it is not good enough to have the job. Right. But that's fine. Then the Eastern Cape must call those people who are excellent, who others are saying they know the job, but we can't have them because we don't like their personality, we don't like this or that. Then we must use them and build and make things work. But excellence and transformation work together. And transformation is not about just allowing whatever. If you do that, then we can have sustainability. But you talk to labor about that, so that labor, we have a digital transformation strategy. You have to sit them down. Of course, the first 45 minutes they're going to complain. They want more money and, hey, you did this and the CEO, the VC, whatever, it's fine. They did that with my seat and I listened, okay. And I said, okay, all these problems you're talking about, they will never be solved until we get onto the same page. I'm the new CEO and you want me to solve the problem. I'm saying to you, I can only even attempt to solve the problems if you come on the same page with me with this vision. That's thoughtful. You're not expecting them because they're the bottom of the bottomest. They must just follow. But the cleaners must just follow. I often say in institutions, in companies, the management and the people at the bottom are working towards different goals. People at the bottom, labor, workers, celebrate when they win an argument on salary increments. That's the happiest moment. But they don't celebrate like we clapped. Os Veronica, when you tell us you were named as the best, No, what is that? What does it mean for us? Even in universities. They don't care that your university has produced this, there's an innovation or rankings, what. They don't care. They only will celebrate the day they get the increment they want. Then there's something wrong with the leadership, with the thoughtfulness of the leadership. And I said, we've got to get them to understand what we are about. We've got to celebrate the same win. But you cannot celebrate the same win. You can never be successful with digital transformation in an institution, in a particular group, or in the province if the people at the bottom don't understand why should we go there. Why should we go there? They need to know what's in it for them. And so when I'm in the Geneva Science and Diplomacy Anticipator, they didn't tell me to do this. I told them, I'm here to make sure that the voice of the developing countries is heard. So that's what I'm doing. And I said to them, and I'm here to make sure that I constantly look at what does this mean for young people and for the developing world. And anyone who's been following me, I've been doing the Jester sessions since 2021, I think. You see, that's what I'm focusing on. And I take young people to Geneva. I took them again, they say, but they have to compete, they have to come to the lecture, they have to listen, they have to write, participate in the challenge that I'm talking about. And then I go with them to Geneva to present to politicians, diplomats, scientists, and academics to say, this is what it means for Africa, this is what we would like to have, so that the struggles don't stay in the Eastern Cape. But if they're not curious, they don't come on board, then they don't. So we've got to think about the people who are there and say, if they get it, they know what's in it for them, then they might just come in. Then maybe, I look forward to a day, Premier, when the workers in the province can take that fight of infrastructure development. They do it to your office. They say redistribute the budget. Yeah, they're not saying we want a salary increment. They're saying Veronica can't deliver on our digital needs because the infrastructure are equal. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm looking forward to a day like that where the street is full. At the moment you don't have that. I look forward to a day when students toy and say, hey, this sociology or this mathematics that they're teaching us is outdated. There's no challenge in this university. Oh, we've been coming to class. This lecturer is not showing up. Oh, he's teaching us with slides of 1979. We don't want them anymore. We can see the terminology that these slides were prepared during his first year of teaching. And they toy and they say, we don't want the slides anymore. But we don't get that. The only time they toy is when they want their fees to be paid. The only times workers toy is when they want money in their pockets. It's because we don't have thoughtful leadership that says, this is where we are going. This is where we are going. This is where we are going, and that's what's in it for you. And then we can have people toy. Toy is not a bad thing, but we want them to toy for the right thing, for things that will benefit all of us. At the moment, we don't. We don't. Even our political parties, the opposition, is not fighting about infrastructure and whatever. No. Technology is not even on the list. Right? So there is something about thoughtful leadership that we need in this country. Now, I'm going to pause here. Thank you so much for inviting me. I feel the energy. I think what you're doing here with this ICT conference is exemplary, is potentially big, and I'm sure I can see the energy that's here that's going to keep going on, and that's what we need in the country. I wish, conference organizer, that next time, because it's 17 years, I'm sure there's someone who's been attending for the last 10 years. I'm sure there's someone who's been attending for the last 15, 16 years. I'm sure there's someone who was there in the first. I wish they could come and say what has changed about their practice since they started. And maybe we should do that next time. What has changed? What has this conference changed about the way you think about the way you do things, the way you run your organization, your office, the department, or whatever? Because it's not just that we want the province to have better structures, apps, and it's also our mindsets and the way we do things. What has changed? Thank you so much, and I wish you everything of the best for the conference.
Come on, we can do better than that. Wow. Thank you very much, Prof. Wow. My takeaway for the day might be enable excellence. Enable excellence. We need to be in an environment that enables excellence. Can we put our hands together one more time for Prof. Pakeng? That was a brilliant share. I'm not going to take too much time. I'm just excited to know that Lang Totoya next time. I've been endorsed to Totoya. So all the people were doubting me. So all the young people that I'm not part of anymore, we're gonna see what we're gonna do about that. All right. Moving swiftly along, this conference is so great. You welcome one great speaker to the other great speaker to another great speaker. The program director doesn't have to do anything. I get an applause every time someone comes up. It's so amazing. I'm really enjoying this morning. So before I welcome our next speaker, we're about to get into the keynote address, everyone. So this is going to be very, very exciting. This is going to be very engaging, and it's going to almost encapsulate what we're doing as a province to really push the button forward of the development that is happening here. So before I invite Honorable Premier, we want to play a video first, and then once we play the video, we're going to invite the Premier to share his keynote address today. So please go ahead and play the video, and I'll be back now.
This is my story. This is his story. This is the keeper of our story. This is placed engraved in the memory bank of my being as a compass of strength as I pioneer. The new, the unknown, and dance at the sight of the gifts you bear. My spirit will give you flight and fly free over this land. To your hope, destiny, and dreams. My salvation and freedom are buried in the deep unborn mountains. Back to where it all started. This is where I journeyed. I am home. I am the flesh of my forefathers, the adventurers, the brave, and the free. I praise Mother Africa for her riches, her coastlines stretching like hope, echoing secrets, memories, and golden dreams. We hold hands, we cross rivers and bridges. We obey the heat of the land and this holy soil. I stand unapologetic as your shores crash and bring in the tide of tomorrow, signaling the call of new horizons and opportunity. This land who has birthed me is eating to the drum of tomorrow's dream. Clean and distinctive harboring, protecting and celebrating the colorfulness of her people. Let us move to this beat in unison.
My child, my beloved, you are the legacy of the land, reigning, reveling, rejoicing. You are the full force of nature, moving over the plains and the hills of this land. You are strong. You are bold. You are home. Wamgelekile. Welcome home. This is where your story starts. Eastern Cape, yours to explore.
Amanzi abekwa ke kulo mqengelezo nje. Thank you very much, Program Director. Excuse me. Mr. Chabalala. The man behind this idea of Eastern Cape ICT Summit, Mr. Mutse Mfuleni. I was whispering to him that when he lost his wife, I got so worried because there is a say in English that goes, behind any successful man there is a woman. So you can think creatively every time a woman touches your head. And we see you being so strong and innovative, not realizing that there's a serious woman hiding behind. But we really see that this is indeed in your DNA, it's organic, it's authentic. Excellent stuff. Thank you very much to put us together like this. The Deputy Speaker of our Provincial Legislature, Honorable Koboshiane, the mayors present, I'm happy that I didn't cause chaos for you, the organizers of this, because some people came here simply because they've been invited by me. As I'm listening to speakers speak here, I still write to many, why are you not here? Why are you not here? So I really believe that next time, we're not going to wait for 20th anniversary of this. We should be having the entire EXCO, the entire HODs, the DG himself leading that here. To listen to this free ABET. So at that level, people would assume that you know everything, only to realize that this is ABET. So it's important that people understand that. So there are mayors here, district mayors, and also the leadership of SALGA. I was told it is here as well. They might be in the mist there. I'm seeing the district mayor was Joe Gabi. These things can happen in Alwal North, in Stexprate, Lady Grey, Bagley East, Stainsburg, Bergersdorp, as well as your Yogi areas, Mount Fletcher as well. So maybe that I think those mayors that I said, there is this summit. If your diary is flexible, just prioritize it. Surely some mayors would have sent some representatives. I'm seeing the MMCs here as well in Buffalo City. The board chairs that are here, I don't know. I'm only knowing one board chair here who's called the chairman, who's the chairperson of our Eastern Cape Development Corporation. The CEOs of our institutions, as well as government officials that are here from DDGs, national, to all our spheres, municipal managers and CIOs and your municipal IT teams. Organizers of the ICT Summit and the partners, the esteemed guests and speakers here, let me single out uDokotela uPhadi Lihutla. Kodwa nguPhali ke ngesixhosa. Kodwa ke ngeSotho nguPhadi. Because kaloku uLI uD. So Prof Phakeng, excellent stuff. Greetings to the entire sector here, the delegates to this important summit. Good morning, colleagues, to all of you. We gather again in this coastal seat of East London to have a conversation about the development of ICT in our province, the province of Eastern Cape, the province called Home of Legends. So the presentation you did here, Prof, makes you to be legendary yourself. There is no reason that you can't join the team, the advisory team of the Premier. Whether you are in Davos, Switzerland, you can be able to be rich. So there was a BGM sitting behind us, which was kind of proposing that, hey, we found Kababanba listing Kababanje. So knowing what happens in the list and other things, and what then happens after the list, I felt like, singadlala ngomuntu nje uba angafakwe elistini. Uzawadvise mna qha ubayeke bonke aba balapha ecakwini. This is the 17th edition of the Eastern Cape ICT Summit. As it has been said, indeed, nostalgia brings down the memory lane. And Mandela said this thing, long time. It always looks impossible up until it's done. So we are really witnessing that. Kamela, this entrepreneurship, creativity, and innovation into that. And I can tell you, every year it is growing in terms of content. You've just seen the glimpse of what is likely to be packaged here as we move tomorrow, etc. The content. So it's important. More importantly, the conversations we have at this summit are translated into programs that are changing people's lives in our communities, which are implemented by government and social partners. I will elaborate further on this later on. But what I like about the approach of today, we like summits, we like strategic plans, we like conferences, we're all preoccupied. There are people who are employed just to go to workshops and submit that for their key performance indicators for PMDS. I attended an Eastern Cape ICT Summit. So that was an achievement of the year. Terrible. Terrible. So we like that. What I like about this approach, government feeds back, reflect back. What have we seen in this trajectory since we started? I think the presentation done by CIO as well as by Kocha was reflective of that, showing us where we are coming from and where we are and where we still intend moving forward. It's not an easy one to navigate, but surely it's some very good work that I believe is not insurmountable. We've got to push the mountains if we want to be on par with the global village. So the work that we're doing seeks to connect us to the global village and make sure that we are not left behind. So that approach on its own, because we like meeting and taking decisions and thinking that nothing has happened sometimes, without looking at what we said last time and how far we've gone with the implementation. Are we really changing, as Prof was saying, that next time she would appreciate in the program to see those people who can make such good stories to tell. Let me express a word of gratitude to the organizers of this summit for the lengths they go to bring us thought leaders who enrich our thinking and understanding of not only the ICT industry, but also socio-economic development issues in general. This is what Prof was doing here. So ndinibuyisela kulo mcimbi mna. So Prof benibeke ehlabathini, abanye basabhadula nangoku. You see? So this is the intention, it's intentional that it is done like that so that we broaden our horizons. So that's the basic objective of what we see on that. So it's always going to be important that we all have our focus on the work that we are actually doing. These are the kinds of conversations we must constantly have as a province and a country, not as a mere formality, but to truly find a panacea to our present challenges and to exploit our opportunities. We have no doubt that the vulnerable input of thought leaders in our midst will benefit us immensely as we continue to build the Eastern Cape we want, the authentic leadership. Prof was just giving us a crash course on what does it mean to think outside the box, to be simple and ordinary, to be what you are, to be organic and give us better in the process. So those who are not here are really missing, and I just felt like I wish it was in a stadium, open, not limited to accreditation, so everyone can get this. But fortunately, with our technological advancements. There are those who are connecting here, the virtual, and others are following us on the social media. So we are reaching out to millions and millions and millions of people. The message you actually shared with us is getting into that. The theme for this year's ICT Summit is cloud usage and digital infrastructure delivery. This theme resonates with our broad developmental agenda in our provincial development plan. We say by 2030, the Eastern Cape will be an enterprising and connected province where its people reach their potential. Digital transformation is at the heart of achieving this bold vision. We've spoken about Industry 4.0, we've spoken about the fourth industrial revolution, and indeed it is inevitable. We've got it to be, or else we will forever be chasing Switzerland with all these advancements because of the advantage of these multilateral institutions that are housed there. The ambassador has been telling me this in Belgium. Say, please come here. You will get all these European countries under one roof. I want you to talk to them. Umama Utogo class, if probably would be connecting and listening to this idea. I've told the Premier. So I was worried when Umuse said to me, you have been with us since from the beginning. And I said, hey, when you take up a car. People will think that I've been a premier for 17 years. And I've been a premier only for 3 years. So please, premiership in a limit 10 years. So I can't be in 17th year. So I'm just saying it from a strategic the planning thinking. If you look at all these things that are really unfolding. One of our biggest mistakes in the province is this thing of lose the timing and to be distracted. And when more about to promote with timing, you see, and we've realized and learned that. That's why we've focused a lot on stabilizing the province in the last few years. You know, when I arrived in Germany last week or the other week, I was given an opportunity. I was told this for the first time. You normally get invited in the plenaries and sit and fold arms. They said, I must address them. So in the state of the Hanover, the parliament, they were so interested, both the governing coalition, but not coalition, but normal one, not as abnormal. Not the abnormal one, because the democracy has matured. Everyone knows the country comes first. All other people, other things and interests follow. And I had to get into that, and they say, Premier Nosimo Balindela was here at some point. He was in this parliament. She might not have spoken. Premier KVT, Premier Maswale, they were here now. You are here. We're giving you a platform to address us. But I could see the interest was also to have a pulse on what is this issue of Russia-Ukraine? What is this issue of Israel and Gaza, Palestine? And I tell them that in our Nana line, we are for peace. We are for stability of the world. We are a developing country. We want all of you to work with us. Take our people out of those dungeons of underdevelopment, high levels of poverty and all that. So that's what we want from you. We're in this twinning agreement with you for the almost 28th year now. So in this, we have not benefited much as we've got Mercedes-Benz here for 65 years, as much as we have got Volkswagen there for 75 years. These are individual IPs, are not government companies. Someone, as Chabalala was saying, started this idea. Apha sawuvasithetha nge-Maybach song, igama lomntu Maybach. Igama lomntu lo waqala iMercedes nalaa mfungu Benz. That's why uno Ford ngapha go Henry Ford here. Uma ibhek lo nimbukela lonke ni komba xa uqhube mayigeka aya umklokelo la ufikile. Ligama lo, and they started this thing in a most poorest area there in Stuttgart. They show you it was here, this village, with absolutely nothing. These chefs bring up, you go to their museum, they take you down the memory lane, the technology, how it has changed the world. You are right, Mr. Mfuleni. Because of how Africa as a continent has been so disjointed, the cars that we take up to Europe, they come from Europe to Africa, as if these are cars that are done in Europe. Very bad. So I was quite happy when I was in Egypt, the president of Egypt is saying they are working on the Cape to Cairo route with President Ramaphosa. They want to connect from that northeast part to the southern part of Africa. Ukufumana ibullet train ehamba bebheke elenduka eEgypt. Olu lwandle luhamba apha eca kwethu, but kulula isinqwelo apha elwandle zibheke Europe. Zibuye from Europe zize eAfrica. And I was happy to interact with the Tunisians and the Egyptians on the other trip. Their frame of mind is completely changing. They look south. They are 2 hours away from Europe. They are almost 7, 8 hours away from us. But whatever that we're talking about, they think south. They believe that Africa, with its 1.4 billion population, has got a market. Because that's what China has done. China simply used its own market of 1.4 billion population. Simple. And said everyone who wants us must come to us. That's why now Mercedes has got the biggest plant in the world in China. And that plant has been led by a son of this town where we are, East London. Arno. Now Arno is in Stuttgart, he's a deputy president. I met him with this delegation there. We are lucky as Eastern Cape because